Christian C1 review covering Las Vegas and the world this weekend in Simi Valley, California. Yep. December 12th, 13th, and 14th, Little House on the Prairie, the final 50th reunion anniversary thing. I'm sure there'll be more after this. Little House on the Prairie, castreunions.com for more information. The great actress Alison Arngrim, of course, Nellie Oleson from The Great Show's back with us today to talk about this upcoming reunion this weekend and everything else going on in her life. Alice, as always, it's great to have you on C1 Review. How are you?
I am great. It's been a crazy day. I've been running around. I've been counting bonnets, literally counting bonnets and T-shirts and aprons and all the stuff that I have to sell. I have Christmas ornaments because it's our big holiday Christmas themed event, which we've never done before. We've done a lot of cast reunions, especially during this last 50th anniversary year, but we haven't done a crazy Christmas thing. And Little House has had so many Christmas episodes, it only made sense. So I have a very Nellie Christmas ornaments available, and all kinds of stuff. And it's just wild. We're packing up and heading out to Simi, which I like to call the scene of the crime because it is where we shot the show. And we're not on the ranch. We're in that place, Strathern Park. Really pretty, gorgeous place, 1800s, real 1800s buildings, not like ours. And it's going to be all weekend. And yet we've just been absolutely frantic these last few days getting everything together.
Do you think that there'll just be more reunions until everyone is just gone? I mean,
until we all die. Yeah, because we said, okay, it was building. It kind of got nutty in 2023. We had a lot going on. Then we went, okay, 2024, it's the 50th reunion. And there were all these bookings. And I said, this is going to be exhausting. And I thought, no, how often is it your 50th anniversary of a show? So I'm just going to strap in and just do them. So I did everything. I was wiped by the end of the year. So I went, 2025 won't be so bad. I can't believe how many things we've been to and how many reunions we had. Now we're having this huge event in Simi. It's just like, oh my God. We have a cap on tickets. Like only so many people can come in a day because we don't want to do like the last time we were in Simi. It was great. It was 18,000 people over 3 days. And by the end of it, we were all like, we were just exhausted. And so we said, okay, maybe less than 18,000 people, maybe less. So we have like a cap on tickets. So you should get them right now because it's gone. They'll be gone by Friday. So it's bonkers. But there's already bookings for 2026. There's already people asking for cast reunions, multiple cast members in 2026. And I'm like, who has a 52nd year celebration? But apparently we do.
Little House on the Prairie, castreunions.com for more information. The longest domain name in history.
Yeah, we did. We thought, how do we get this all in? Wait, we have to make it plural because we have more than one. Okay, Little House on the Prairie, cast reunions. Just make a big one thing. Well, they won't mistake it for anything else. I mean, you won't mix it up because it's the only one like that. And it's a good website. We've got everything. It's everybody's picture. It has a complete schedule of everything. It's all day, Friday, Saturday. Friday night, there's actually like a little cocktail party, holiday party. Santa Claus will be there. We'll all have the party, and then Saturday night we have a show. Dean Butler's going to sing. I'm doing some stand up. We have a couple of sketches, and yes, cast members basically being really silly and embarrassing themselves on stage, and then we'll have Christmas carols.
I think that is just so fun. I think that is absolutely so fun. Let me just ask you. Do you have lifelong fans like from numerous decades that go to every single one of these things? Like do you have like a lifelong greatest fan ever? I mean, like, tell me.
We do have a bunch. We have the followers. We have the bonnet heads, hence my website, bonnetheads.com. And it's crazy because, like, okay, the age thing. There's people who are my age. They were like 12 or when they started the show, and like a few years younger. They were like little girls. So they were watching it in 74. So those people show up. But they turned their kids onto it, and they turned their kids onto it. So then there's another group. There's the rerun generation, I call it, and then the DVD generation, and now the streaming generation. So there's a big group of women who are like 40 something, like late 30s, early 40s, but they're the rerun generation, and they're obsessed, and they come to everything. And now these people show up. I was at an event just recently, and these two women came up to the table, and I said, I'm sorry, like so rude. How old are you? And they said, I'm 19. And she'd seen every episode. She said, I just started watching it recently. I've seen every episode of this. I have the book. I have the books. I have the thing. I need a bonnet. I got to buy a thing. And people 19, 20, 21 years old. And they're showing up at these events. We had a family who came to the event in Simi when we were out at the other ranch. And they all dressed up. They came every day and dressed up as different characters from the show. And the children were dressing up. And the little boy, who could not have been more than 8, 9, small, probably about 7, maybe 9 small for his age. He was tiny. He was like 7 or 8. And yes, sure, he showed up as Willie one day. You'd expect that. He showed up dressed as Mr. Oleson. He had on a suit and he had an apron, a little pencil thing. He was Mr. Oleson from the Mercantile. Like this big, unbelievable. There were 2 women who dressed. People, it's like cosplay. People come, like they're at a Star Trek convention. They come, they dressed as Kezia, Hermione Badley's character, Kezia Horn, the crazy old lady who had the house with the leg. And 2 different, one had the crow, a stuffed crow sewn to her shoulder, and the other had a harpoon. And I'm like, who does this? But yeah, our events, we get all ages now, and there's people who've been following us and coming to stuff since we started having them. I'm surprised they don't have, the fans should do t-shirts, which is like all the events on them, like concert tour shirts. Like I was at this one, and we've had a couple events, that were so overcrowded. I want t-shirts that say, I survived the Connecticut Little House event, because that one was so crowded. People were in line for hours and it was hot. It's like insanely hot. And I was in a room with no air conditioning. So yeah, we need I survived the Connecticut event shirts.
I just have to tell you again, I besides the Star Trek conventions and the cosplay conventions and those Comic-Con conventions, I have never seen anything like it. When I've done the research, I've talked with you about it, you've shared stories, but I just said to you, I mean, there'll be these conventions in 20 years still.
They're going to, I know people said, well, the 50th, what do you do for the 60th? I was interested about the 60th. Do you know how old I'm going to be? I said, okay, 55th. Let's talk about the 55th. I can totally make it to that. And it's wild because, well, Michael Landon was the one who said they're going to be watching these shows long after we're all gone. And everyone he said that to thought he totally lost his mind, or were like, that's sweet. He so believes in the show. Isn't that nice of him? People did not take him seriously, but he knew there was something about it that was going to resonate with people years later. And here we all are. Michael was right.
I think it's just unbelievably hilarious. I love it. I enjoy all of it because, again, I get to sit down with you guys and get to sit down with people. So I don't have to, do the fan convention circuit or whatever. But I like fan conventions. I love them for the average people. I love how excited people get about this stuff. I get what it means to them because it's the one moment in their life where it meant something to them when they were going through a rough time. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. When people come to say, I watched the show with my mother or my grandmother and they're not here anymore. So when I watch the show, I remember them. It's a huge connection with people. And we do all kinds of cons. Like we have ones that are just Little House in the Prairie, or we do ones where it's at a historic place, like Laura Ingalls' home in where she wrote the books in Mansfield, Missouri, or in Walnut Grove, the real Walnut Grove. So you have the hardcore book and like historical people. And then we'll do stuff where it's like Fanboy or one of these like huge like cons with other shows, but there's a bunch of people from Little House in the Prairie. And then we have our events that are just all Prairie all the time. So we do a real mixture of these events. And some people come to all of them. They go, and I have people go, hi, remember me? I was the one in New Jersey, and then I came to the one in Connecticut, and now I'm at this one. I think we should get them a little card like that we can punch. And if they get 10 from the card, they get like something for free. I think, they have a passport. If you go to the site, if you go to Walnut or Independent, you have a little book. There's a Laura Ingalls little book. It's a little passport. And when you go to Independence, Kansas, or Burr Oak, or one of the official sites, they stamp your book. I think that's what we need.
That is so funny and so creative and so good. Let me just ask you last question.
I'm making one this weekend for Die Hard fans. We're going to have like a card or a thing where we'll punch it. Each thing you come to, when you get 10, you get free stuff.
They're so funny. You are so You're so creative, seriously. Okay, let me just ask you last question, because
Sure.
you're talking tens of thousands of people. What kind of merchandise do you have to prepare for like one of these things?
Well, we try to make it interesting because, everybody, oh, well, I got the pictures. And, you go to these events and there's actors who I just got my pictures. But like, I try to get like new pictures. It's Christmas. So I'll like go find images going, do I have that one? I don't have that one. And I'll go find one from like a Christmas episode and go run that off. So I have something. And then, I discovered during the pandemic when I was reading the Little House books online, people really wanted bonnets. They wanted to wear.
Enjoyed those, by the way. I watched a couple of those.
Wasn't that fun? And people were reading. They were like doing read along with the bonnet. So I have bonnets, and they're from Walnut Grove, Minnesota. They're lovely. Lots of red and green ones for Christmas. So I always have bonnets. And then I have these wonderful aprons made that say who's going to do the cooking. So I got a whole. I just counted out my box of those. I have T-shirts. And my friend, the artist Howie Green, who we just lost this month, the late Alison Arngrim, he made this fabulous psychedelic painting of Nellie, and we have that on a T-shirt. So I have those. But for this, I have done Christmas ornaments. I have these lovely Christmas ornaments, and they do say have a very Nellie Christmas on them. And a lot of the cast members are doing that. Jen Donati, who played Baby Rose, makes them darling necklaces. And several people, Wendy Lou Lee does a Christmas ornament that's quite lovely. Dean Butler now for Almanzo, he's got little jars to put your cayenne pepper and your cinnamon, because that cinnamon chicken episode. So everybody has stuff, and I think everyone's written a book. I think everyone but Jack the dog and like the chicken have written a book, because it is literally everyone has written a book, and we've all got them on the table, and they're really. Yeah. They're surprisingly good.
I guess the thing is, what I'm wondering is, do you worry that you're going to sell out of stuff? That's what I'm wondering. Like, do you just like have it down, or do you have it down to a fine tooth comb? Like, I know how much I'm about to sell, and
it has gotten where with like these events, I start to go when I pack for them. Oh yeah, this is gonna be this many boxes. How many books do I need? This one I don't know, because we've never done a Christmas one. I've never had these ornaments, so I don't know if I'm bringing too much or whatever. But it's gonna take 2 trips. We've worked that much out going in the morning, a load of stuff. We have official Little House merchandise too. We can get a cat that's Little House on the Prairie, and we have so much stuff. So I want to make, but I try to like mix it up. And that's the thing, is because you probably have all my pictures, but oh, look, you have a Christmas one, and look, I have a thing. Make it interesting and fun for people. So it's not just the same old, hey, give me your money, here's a thing. That there's like stuff you might really want, stuff that's actually like, the aprons are useful, and you can pour a whole pot of tomato sauce on them and throw them in the washing machine, and they're like brand new. So I have like functional stuff that you might actually need in your home. We try to make it interesting for people, so it's not just junk.
Oh, I agree 100%. Little House on the Prairie, castreunions.com. I've got to double check that every time I read it. Okay, let me ask you, let's move along.
And everybody's coming. Karen Grassley's coming. Ma's coming. Miss Beadle is coming.
Todd Bridges.
It's like, oh my
God. Todd Bridges and all the Dean Butler.
Todd Bridges is going to be there, for heaven's sake.
Yeah, I know. Absolutely. So let's just move along and let's move forward. So when I say 50 years, I didn't ask you this in the past, in the last year or two. When I say 50 years, what comes to mind?
It's almost hard to imagine. It's like the whole concept of time, that much time. It's like, well, as you get older, as I have, I'll be 64 in January, to fathom how many decades I have been on this earth, and then to realize I have been known as Nellie Oleson for this a lifetime, a huge block of time. Michael Landon only lived to be 54? And we're going to be going to events celebrating the show for more years than Michael was on Earth. I mean, it's trying to fathom how much time has passed and then how little has changed. I mean, that's what's so crazy, that we're all still talking to each other, that we're still going to these events, that the show is still on and people are still mad for, and they're getting the same things out of it. It's really weird. It's just, I have trouble realizing how old I am. And then when I realize how old some of my fellow cast members are, like, how are we doing this? It's unfathomable.
I honestly tell you again, it just feels like it's like some warped time zone thing that just never. I just feel like I'll be sitting here with you in 20 years talking with you about it. That's what I feel like. I'll still be here in 20 years talking with you about it.
I fear you may be right.
No, that'll be joyful for me. I mean, I love talking with you. I'd have you on every week if I could. You know that.
Oh, awesome. I know what the things mean. I remember it's an event and Matt Laberto, who's just hilarious, who's Delbert said, we were talking about how we had the VHS and then we had the DVDs, we had cable, now we have streaming. He said, I'm really looking forward to when they put the microchip on my brain and I can beam Little House on the Prairie onto my eyelids and just watch it. And that may be next. I mean, we could be at our 60th or 65th anniversary. What will be the merchandise? Here we have hoverboards for you, and here's for
it will be. That's where we're going, though. I mean, that's just so crazy. I've never asked you this question. When the show ended, of course, what did you think was next for your career? Did you just like, hey, I'm happy to have a break? Like, what were you focused on when it ended?
You're very right. I mean, there was absolutely a moment where I went, oh, thank heavens, I got up, take 7 years straight. And I mean, when you think about when I started the show, I was in junior high school and I was just about to get braces on my teeth. So I got my braces on. I had different braces. I had night gear. And then the braces came off. I graduated junior high. I went all through high school. I moved out of my parents' home. I had an apartment. And then I turned 18 and I bought a condominium. And all of these, I learned to drive. I bought a car. And I was still on the show. I was still on the same show that I've been. That's really weird. And I was like, wow, I feel like I'm living here. So part of me was like, well, yeah, I need to like not be doing that for 5 minutes. That would be great. And I was like, please don't make me wear that wig again because it was so uncomfortable. But then it was the 80s and, it was the era of like sex comedies and teen comedies. And the idea was that, I was 19 years old and blonde and blue-eyed and cute. So there was a lot of that I think there was absolutely perception, certainly with my managers, my agents, and even I thought that, I shall be a sex symbol. I shall be some bikini girl in the 80s. Didn't really work for me. And I remember thinking, I don't think I'm really that kind of a girl, but I took my best shot. I auditioned for all the cheerleader and dead cheerleader and murdered cheerleader parts and wore the swimsuits. I did play a prostitute on Fantasy Island, and I did do a Love Boat and all that kind of silliness, which I really liked. That was kind of fun. And I was on Dance Fever, all these kind of shows. But I didn't wind up playing the next great sex symbol because I think I was more Carol Burnett than Marilyn Monroe. I think I've been a character actress my whole life. Obviously now I'm like, yes, I'm older. I'm a character actress. I think I was a character actress when I was 12. And I think like finally like accepting that and going, oh, duh. I'm funny. I'll do that. Has really worked for me. But yeah, there absolutely was a period where, well, I'm off that show and now I'll go be on like Dynasty or something.
Well, listen, Diane Carroll and Morgan Fairchild have been on as past guests, and I love Dynasty, and Dynasty was a great show, and you would have been in there. You would have been. I
would have been. Yeah, I'd have been. And I love Morgan Fairchild, by the way. She's awesome. I love her. So yeah.
She's lovely. We just had her on for like an hour, like about 4 weeks ago. It was unbelievable. Just I'll have to send you that link. You'll have to watch me.
And she's another one who was there at the beginning because I started at AIDS Project Los Angeles in '86 because Steve Tracy, who played my husband in Little House, died of AIDS, and I began volunteering. Really? And some of the people were first there. We think of Elizabeth Taylor and Madonna. Oh, no, Morgan Fairchild was in the door helping people and doing stuff from the get-go. She's an amazing woman. She's really
absolutely no denying that. Let me ask you. So I've gotten this special documentary that you introduced with Dean Butler called Little House Homecoming. Is that debuting this weekend at this reunion?
Yes. We did have a debut. I think the first time a group of people saw it was, I think, at the Cherry Blossom Festival last year, and it was made. So this guy Jonathan Parker, he comes to Dean, he comes to and that year, I got to say, everyone was doing a documentary about Little House on the Prairie, and I was turning a lot of them down because I was like, it would be like some kind of TMZ documentary, like, I'm not doing that. And some of them was like, well, that doesn't sound very good. Or worse, they were like well, we're not going to take any like input from you or include you in the production. We're just going to like make you spend hours filming and then run away and take all the money and go keep it for ourselves. I'm like, really? So none of them sounded very good. And he said, no, I want to like really have you guys involved in this. And it's about the phenomenon. It was about his daughter and how she was discovering the books and the show. And they went to the historical sites. And he's like, I want to know why. Why do people like this? What does this mean? And I went, yes, there you go. And it really is. If you love Little House on the Prairie and your friends think you're crazy, you watch this documentary and go, they get it. Someone understands me. Someone gets me and understands why we dig this show. And if you've wondered for ages, what on earth is the attraction? Go watch this documentary and you'll hear people talking about what this show meant to them and what the books meant to them and how it all ties together. And of course, fabulous interviews with me and the rest of the cast. But it's really interesting. And when I had just seen parts of it and like not the final cut, and then we went to the Cherry Blossom Festival last year, and they said, you're going to show the final cut. I'm like, I'm going, because I don't know, is it going to be good? People were crying. People went bananas. And I went, yeah, we nailed it here. This is perfect. And so now, I mean, we had a whole online thing, a whole special streaming thing where you could get it like special for only certain days. And yes, we're going to show, I think we're showing it several times this weekend. We got a whole tent. You can go watch it in the barn. So we're running it there, but it's really of all the documentaries people were doing. I was like, no, this is the one I want to be involved in. It's really cool. And it focuses on his daughter, but it really is. It's if you've wondered, does someone out there understand why I love this show? Yes, we do. And we have a documentary on it.
I love that. I just love that. So let me ask you now. So let's talk about the present again. We talk about this whole time warp and anyway.
It's very weird. Yeah, it's 2025. We have AI and robots and electric cars.
And the aliens will be coming down to Earth in 20 years, telling us that they
aliens are going to be landing next week. No, see, space aliens. People on other planets, they do watch Little House. I know this sounds bonkers. So I'm in Belgium one day, and they've got a space museum because there's a big space program. The European space program is the big training area. It's in Belgium. So they take me on a tour of the whole Belgium Space Center and where they train the astronauts. And I got to try out equipment. So it was awesome. And they're taking me through and I'm meeting people who train astronauts and they show me all the equipment and everything in the arm of the space shuttle and all this stuff. And then they take me to this room. They said, this is video clips that were put out into space via satellite and being brought to space. That we don't know who's seen them, if they reached anybody on any planet, what solar system, but if anybody got reached, this is what they saw. And I'm looking at these clips, and the people who are taking me on the tour, are giggling behind me because they know it's coming. And it's like important newscasts, clips of the greatest TV shows and famous movies, and boom, Little House on the Prairie. Big old clip of Little House on the Prairie, and there I am, and there's Laura and Mary.
Unbelievable.
So it's been beamed into space. So if there are people living on other planets and they're getting our messages, watching TV, they've totally seen Little House on the Prairie. So
that is so unbelievable. I'm joking. I was literally joking. I was literally joking, and you're very literal. I mean, it's unbelievable.
If they're out there, they have seen it. So I fully expect. I mean, if the mothership pulls up tomorrow, they will know who I am.
I'm sorry. I can't get enough when you come on. I just laugh and a half. It's just always too much fun. Anything I say is a joke becomes truth. Anyways, let's move forward. Yes. Go ahead. No.
No, I say it's all true. Anything. That's what's so crazy. We're living this futuristic, fabulous sci-fi thing, and people are still watching Little House on the Prairie. They're still watching people in covered wagons while we're living in this. It's absolutely bizarre.
I'm going to say this to you very quickly. Some people, I think you embrace what you've become, obviously, but I think there's a lot of other people who maybe in show business don't love the fact that they're remembered just for one thing, no?
Well, it's hard because what I've discovered, and I've made a study of this, as of course I did, famous people don't generally get to pick the thing that they get famous for, and sometimes this goes wrong. Patsy Cline, for example, we think Crazy, that we all did. Patsy Cline hated the song Crazy with a burning passion. She refused to record it. I think it took them like a year and a half or more to get her to even record it. She said, that's a horrible song. I will not sing that. And she never liked Crazy. They had to like drag her kicking and screaming to the studio to do it. And of course, that's everybody's favorite Patsy Cline song. So many things. Everybody, all these stars they had favorite movies they made, and that's not the one. It's this one over here. It's this TV show. It's this song. And there's so many performers where, no, they didn't like that song, but that's the one everybody knows. They didn't like that movie. And it's like, that's the album you bought. You don't know. You don't know which weird thing it's going to be that everyone is just going to latch onto and go gaga for. And in this case, Nellie Oleson. And luckily, Little House was a good show. It was well made, beautiful camera work, wonderful writing, wonderful direction and act. It's a quality show, so I don't have to be embarrassed. It's like a quality, well-made show. And I loved being Nellie, and I had a good time doing it. And when I watch it, I go, yeah, okay, yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty funny. I stand by my work. I stand by my performance on the show. I think it was fine. So it works, but you don't get to pick. When you look at how many people from the show and the things they've done. I mean, both Melissa Gilbert and Melissa Sue Anderson have made feature films and been on other television series. But it's like, Michael Landon was already, after Little House, doing Highway to Heaven. And people still called him Little Joe from Bonanza in the street. Hey, Little Joe. And he was in his 50s and making his third series. So there are things that just stick. And you don't get to pick. And this has driven many famous people out of their minds. So I'm lucky that I've gone like, okay, well, can't beat them, join them. This is the thing. This is the thing. Okay, at least I like it.
If you can't beat them, join them. More than well said. Okay, let's move along now. Now let's move along to the current times. Reboot of Little House on the Prairie on Netflix. Thoughts?
Awesome, because it's not a reboot. If it was just like a reboot, there would be like, why? I mean, and the fans are going, no, we love you guys. Well, if it was totally trying to redo us, then yeah, that would be terrible. They're going back and like kind of starting over. It's Laura's really little. It's like before our show starts, like they're in Kansas. So it's like back to the books.
Prequel?
Almost, because the pilot of Little House is the book Little House on the Prairie when they're in Kansas, and then the show starts, it's Banks of Plum Creek when they're in Walnut Grove. It's that book really that we went with, whereas I think they're starting all the way in the big woods in Wisconsin and then going into, so they're trying to do the whole thing. And it's new, but it's Little House and Laura and Mary, Mom, Pa. All the people they've hired are really good. I mean, tiny little girl as Laura has a resume as long as my arm. It's like, oh my God, what is this kid not been in? All the producers, directors, the showrunner, all these people, they are all quoted in interviews. They keep saying things like, I was raised on the books. I was raised on the show. I love Laura Ingalls. They're all into it. It's not like strangers are touching this property. You have people from the Friendlies, Ed Friendly originally had the rights to it and brought in Michael Landon. You have Trip Friendly. And then you have all these people who are full-on bonnet heads, totally into the books and the show, producing it and directing it. So it's like, okay, they get it. You're not getting weirdos who don't understand the product. And it looks pretty. All the people in it are pretty. I mean, Pa is still gorgeous because you have to have like gorgeous Pa. But I noticed it's a little weird because apparently Mr. Edwards is now like really good looking, which may be very confusing that Mr. Edwards is now hot. So that may be disturbing to people. But I think it's going to be fine. I mean, there are people who are very possessive. They're like, no, only yours. But how many Star Treks do we have? Next Generation, Brave, Discovery. We got 14 Star Treks or something. I lost count somewhere after Picard. I couldn't.
The Batmans and the Supermans. How many of those? And the Spider-Mans.
Yeah, there's always that. And like with Star Wars, you have that whole thing where you have like the movies and then the series, The Mandalorian and the comic book. And then you have things where they say, is this canon? It's not from the movies, but it's canon. It's part of the story. And it was in this Little House on the Prairie. If they can have all those different universes and things, I think we can have another show. As long as it's well done, it looks like it is. I'm also thrilled because we've gotten so much press, all of us from our show, because of their show. And Our Little House is streaming on Amazon, Peacock, Roku, everything. And this new show is going to be on Netflix. People are going to watch a new show, and they're just going to want to afterwards switch over and watch ours again. And streaming,
by the way, might create more business opportunities for all of you guys.
Of course it will. And also remember, streaming did not used to pay residuals. And we were all very lucky because we were the post-1974 in perpetuity. So we got residuals from the show. But, it's smaller every time they run it. It's been 50 years. And now the streaming is paying after the big strikes. So now streaming is paying. So people are being compensated for Roku and Amazon and all that stuff. So it's just going to fan the flames, having yet another show about Laura Ingalls. So I'm like, yeah, it's great.
It just never, again, it's just, I'm sorry. It's just like a running joke. You know what I'm saying? I'm happy for all you guys, but it's just a running joke. No?
And in 30 years, you'll be interviewing an older lady who played little Nellie Oleson on the new Netflix one. We'll just do this all again.
Yeah, we will. But here's what I'm going to ask you: as a different role, would you love to be on that show, or any of your cast members? Have they reached out or anything like that?
We have to see, because they just got started. They just got the thing in the can, so they have to go, okay, do we start adding things? But yeah, totally. I always joke that I'm old enough to be Mrs. Olsen now. So until if they get to that part,
wouldn't that be so funny though? You know what I'm saying? People would love that.
Of course, and they would love cameos from any of us in it. They want the connection between the two shows, and I'm like, sure, I'm in. It seems, like I said, there's big Star Trek. You have crossovers, you have characters from Star Trek, sometimes appear on another Star Trek. Nobody minds. Surely we could pop into the other one.
Let me ask you, kind of spoke about it earlier, but aside from Little House, what was your favorite acting project aside from that? What do you love that people don't ever ask you about?
Oh, well, some of the theater stuff that I've done, because, TV, I love about Fantasy Island, which a hoot, but I've been very lucky to be able to my parents met in the theater. I started as a theater person. I was doing the Garden Theater Festival. I was in a play called Cry of Players, where I played Shakespeare's daughter. And that was when I was 12, 13 years old during the show. So I've always done theater. I love it because sometimes it's villain. Sometimes I'm somebody nice. I get to be somebody nice more often in theater. But I also play terrible people. Agatha Christie, all of her plays have kind of the same set of characters. And I did, was it Mousetrap? And then There Were None. I did both of them. And I played essentially the same person. When they called me, I said, it's the same part. No, it isn't. I said, yes, it's an elderly British lady who's really awful and dies at the end of Act 1. I said, I already did that, but I'll do it again. Sure. And I've done that. And I did a play. It was an original piece. It was called Flirting with Morty. Morty being short for Morte, death. And it's very weird play with a lot of flashbacks and dream sequences and ghosts of people. And I was the ghost flashback of the lead character's abusive mother. And I was alternatingly funny and horrifying. And I enjoyed that enormously. That was really a trip. So yeah, I like that when I get to do theater and do crazy stuff that they're not going to spend the money to make a movie of this, but they'll do it on stage somewhere and I can be in it. And I love that stuff.
You know what's so funny, by the way, too? Every time we have an interview or see an interview with you, that just blows up. Your fans have you on an alert, and the house on the prairie, they just know, they just come right over. It's so hilarious.
You get a text. It's it's I have the Nellie newsletter that I send out once a month. Bob writes it. We have the saga of Sock Monkey. And email us at loosegravelprod@AOL. Say I want the Nellie newsletter. I get the Nellie newsletter every month, and that tells them where I'm going to be. And they kind of follow me around. I notice okay, if you post something on Facebook, how many minutes before you start seeing likes and shares and comments?
Pretty quickly. Pretty quickly, almost instantly. But we have 300,000 followers on our Facebook.
You're popular, so you do. Absolutely. I will post on Facebook and my friends are like, oh, do you have any likes yet? And I go, yeah, okay, I've got 60 comments and 300 likes. And they go, it's been 3.5 minutes. I'm like, Yeah, there are people who are apparently sitting. When I send out the newsletter, there's a thing I can see, like who's opened the newsletter. I can see how many opens, how many clicks, and all that stuff. And like sometimes we'll launch a newsletter in the middle of the night. And then I look, it's like ping, ping, ping. And like, who are these people who are sitting up at 2 a.m. waiting for the Nellie newsletter and like immediately open and go to. So yeah, there are people who are apparently sitting in front of the computer waiting for me to show up. Which is like, hi, sure, okay.
So freaking, I'm sorry. It's just a hoot always with you. I can't say it enough. Let me ask you, have you ever conformed confessions of a Prairie Bee in Las Vegas? And if you haven't, you really need to be doing it here at some point.
I did. There was a theater. I don't think it's still there. The Onyx. There was a place called the Onyx Theater.
Sounds familiar.
It was like the book came out in 2010, so it was like 2011, somewhere in there, the Onyx Theater, and it was marvelous. I did a run there for like a couple of weeks. It was great.
We got to get you back here. I mean, there's so many comedy venues. I can give you a list of suggestions. There's so many comedy venues and places where you could do your one-woman show. There's a place called, I don't know if you've ever heard of it, The Space. It's for all of the artists in Las Vegas. It's right adjacent to the Strip, west of the Strip. It's called The Space. The Space, they have like these one night shows or whatever, but all of the major entertainment artists in Vegas perform there. It's called The Space. They could absolutely have,
and so it's like special. It's not just like, I mean, I spent years at the Comedy Store, the Laugh Factory, I was in the Laugh Factory when it opened, the Improv, where you have like a lineup of comics. But you know me, I like the thing where it's like, it's all about me, where it's a special evening, like this is what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, they do one evening. They've done a lot of other famous acts from the past and things like that. I think Debbie Gibson did a show there last year, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, point be told is it's called The Space. You should look it up. I'll send you the information after we get off of this.
You're going to be calling now and like going, when are you playing The Space? Like it's on my calendar practically here.
Yeah, it's not yet, but we're going to make that happen. You know, we're making it happen. You know, ladies and gentlemen, from here in Las Vegas, of course. Let me ask you, anything else you're currently working on at this time?
Oh gosh! So we got the event this weekend, and I guess I get a little break in December and January off. In January, to celebrate my birthday, we have a restaurant in LA in Burbank called Chili John's, and I think some people have heard of it because like Quentin Tarantino has filmed stuff there because they haven't changed their basic outline decor since like 1949, and it's awesome. They got the big counter that goes round, a big horseshoe counter, and they also have the greatest chili like ever. And you can get vegetarian or beef, chicken, whatever you want. I get usually the chicken, and I've gone there a lot. They've been there forever, and they said, yeah, you know, how business, you know, since the pandemic. I said, so you want to have an event? Because they said, yeah, we opened another room. We have like beer and stuff now. I said, so can I do a book signing at Chili John's? They're like, hell yeah. So me and Dean Butler, our Almanza, are on January 17th, are going to hang out at Chili John's and have a book signing. Come buy a bowl of chili, meet us.
That is so fun.
And it's just because I love the restaurant, and I thought, well, that'll help them out. I get all the chili I can eat and sell a few books and hang out at my favorite place. So yeah, goofy things like that. And then February, head back to France for March. I got 9 shows. I had 9 shows in October, all sold out in France, and I've got another.
Is it confessions? Is it just a confession show? Or
no. I started with doing a French adaptation of Confessions, and now we're on our 3rd show. Patrick Lebatière writes these things, and now we have a thing called Nellie Oleson enflamme les années 80, which is Nellie Oleson sets fire to the 80s, and it's bonkers, and it's all in French, and it's really fun. And I sold out all 9 shows in October, and I'm going to probably sell it all 9 shows in March.
People, how big is that venue?
Oh, we do it all over the country. We do small venues. We do small venues because the autograph line after gets so long that if the place was more than like 400 people, I'd be there for 3 days.
You'd just be wowed by this, no?
So we do smaller venues, you know, 250, 300. Kind of like when I go to New York and I do like Cutting Room and Beachman. I do cabaret.
No, the fact that like you're going to France and it's like it's 9 shows like nothing. It just must wow you, though.
And in French, of course.
French must wow you, though. It must just absolutely wow you.
It is fun because I do get to visit all sorts of places in France. It like we go to some of these towns. It's like I've seen a famous person. I don't think they've seen an American. Some of those, like, I'm visiting places that tourists don't go. It's really great. I'm getting all the good food, all the good cheese. I'm getting to see all the historic stuff. It's really cool. I get to travel all over. And
I love that
in
for
the middle
you.
of the week, I go hang out in Paris. That's like my day off. So yeah, not bad. But it's fun. And people do love it because people living out, well, on the prairie of France. And here's this comedy show, and there's Nellie Oleson, and it's like, it's fun.
It's just so funny, though. I mean, again, just so random. You should get one. You should record one of these things and like put out a special or something.
Yeah, right? Or well, somebody needs to follow me around and do a documentary on me. That's what we need. That's it.
Yeah, I think that would be fun. Actually, you're just so humorous. There's just so many things. You have so many. You're a great storyteller too. That's what makes you so fun to interview.
Which is the whole show, storytelling. So yeah, so after France, I come back, and then it's April, and Bob just goes, "Here's your newsletter. Why don't you just read from there? It has all your stuff." Because yes, in April we've got stuff going on. The Cherry Blossom Festival. I'm doing the Cherry Blossom Festival again. And let's see, what else may I do? Oh, and then in May, Mother's Day, every Mother's Day, I'm in New York. So I will be at the Cutting Room. And then I'm also playing a place called the Foundry in the Berkshires that I've never been to. So a whole new venue that I'm trying out. So yeah, I'm kind of everywhere. And then there's more stuff coming. We just haven't put it all on here yet. But yeah.
Well, congratulations. I'm glad. Again, I'm not surprised. Glad you're always staying busy. Okay, let's wrap up with a few. I love this one. Let me just ask you. Please tell me always. I'm sorry. Please tell me the Liberace story. I can't get enough.
So once upon a time, I feel like. So when I was a kid, literally my dad got this great job. He'd been an actor on stage, been on Broadway, and he got this great job working as a manager for Seymour Heller and Associates, and he was made vice president of Western Regional TV or something. 9,000 building on Sunset Strip, the whole big office there. And if you saw, did you see that one about the candelabra, the movie with Michael Douglas and everything about Liberace? I
sure did.
Dan Aykroyd played Seymour Heller, and I just about screamed because I saw that man in my living room many times. That was Uncle Seymour. So I was like, yep, excellent. He totally nailed it. So my dad's working for Seymour Heller and handling Liberace, Debbie Reynolds, all these people. And so Seymour would take care of Liberace in Vegas, and my dad was sort of assigned to like the LA gigs. And we actually were told to go rent a house in the Hollywood Hills around the corner from Liberace's Hollywood Hills home in case if there was an emergency. I don't know. Sequin falls off his jacket. I have no idea what the emergency, Liberace related emergency would be, but we were there. And so my dad was like, so I get to go to Liberace shows as a little girl because you really want to take the 8-year-old to see Liberace. So
and those are in California or in Vegas? Did you ever
California,
go to
the California ones?
Okay.
Big LA ones. And so my parents take me to Liberace, get all dressed up, and they said, now you have to be in your best behavior. Don't say anything because no one must know that Liberace is gay. And I'm sorry, I'm 8. I know he's gay. And they said, no, he's these fans, these women, they're in love with him. I said, no. I said, no, the guy's wearing rhinestone hot pants. He just flew over the stage. I think they know. They said, no, they don't know. God. So I'm eavesdropping on these fans of his, and these women in the fur coats with like the blue hair, the old ladies, and they're buying all the stuff. He's got T-shirts, he's got coffee mugs, he's got Liberace pictured. He has Liberace soap. You can take a bath with Liberace. They're buying everything. And I hear them talking. Swear to God. I hear them talking. And they go, oh, he's so sweet. Yes, he's that way, Oh, yes, he's one of those. Oh, you would be safe with him. They completely knew. They totally knew he was gay. They did not care. Do you know that Liberace actually sued a magazine in London for saying he was gay? Sued them in court.
Wow.
And won. He won. Liberace was proven heterosexual in a court of law.
You must have felt like at that age, and as you went into Nellie Oleson, you've just been like, I've just arrived.
Right. I mean, that's I got to see so many things. I got to grow up in Hollywood. My mother was Casper the Friendly Ghost. My father was managing Liberace. I mean, just all this crazy stuff. We lived in the Chateau Marmont, the big castle on Sunset. I did the whole Hollywood thing. I went to Hollywood High. So I got to have all that kind of like out of a movie, crazy Hollywood childhood. and then wind up on a TV series. I started working when I was 5. Like Little House was technically my comeback role because I started working at 5 and I did commercials and some TV shows. And when I was 10, I did a movie, and I wasn't getting many auditions. And my father said, well, you're 11 and you're not really booking. You haven't gotten any parts lately. And he said, this sometimes happens. Child actors stop working, and maybe you're not going to work again until you're 18, or maybe you're never going to work again, because that's how the business sometimes is. At 11, I'm getting the you might be washed up speech at 11. And then like 6 months later, I got Little House on the Prairie.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So that is my, that was the first comeback. I'm on my 47th comeback. Yeah.
Okay, let's do a couple name drops very quickly and we'll end. Carol Channing stories.
Oh, Carol Channing. I love Carol Channing. I went as a little girl and I saw Thoroughly Modern Millie. I wanted to be Carol Channing. Now I feel like I kind of am Carol Channing. I got to meet Carol Channing, and she's so fabulous. She just was amazing. And she was very informal. Bob and I were at her house. We're all going to a dinner with her and her husband, and Harlow's there. And Bob and I went to her bedroom and said, oh, we need to change into our formal clothes. And she just comes walking in and starts like changing her clothes and sits on the bed. And we're like, hi. She didn't care. And she had that amazing voice, and she really talked like that all the time. Did you read her book? She wrote a book called Just Lucky, I Guess.
Have never read it, but I probably need to.
God, it's like stream of consciousness. It's absolutely fabulous. And she also, that book is when she first talked about the fact that she's half African American, that she is not white.
I did not know that.
She didn't know till she was leaving for college, and her mother sat her down and went, about your dad. What happened is, her grandmother, who was black, who was an African-American woman. And remember, think how old. Carol Channing died at 100, 101. Yeah. So her dad's mother, whoa, way back. She was black. She was African-American. And she had a child of mixed race. And he came out very, very light-skinned. And his grandma said to Carol Channing's father's boy, okay, this is our ticket here. We just somehow won the lottery. You can pass. And that was the thing back in the people passing for what? Oh, and she said, this is a horrible, hard world we live in. So I'm going to take you and enroll you in the white school. And you're not going to tell anyone that I'm your mother. If people are in public, you say I'm the maid or something, just lie. And you're going to pretend from now on, we're going to say you're white and that's it. And you're going to go to college and you're going to have a career, and none of which would be available to you if we just lived our normal lives. Horrified. And she did it, and it worked. And he became like a college professor and was very well to do and married Carol Channing. And her mother said, you're going to go out in the world and you'll meet a nice young man and you'll get married. And you need to know your children would be of mixed race. Your child could be black, could be white, could be in between. We don't know. And Carol's like, say what? And she talks about in the book that there were certain things, little things that her parents had said and her father had done where it suddenly all made sense. But she couldn't tell anyone, because even at the time she was a young woman, that was like the end of the world if you told people you were of mixed race. It was just absolutely like, no. Like, what was it? The one drop rule. You couldn't be part anything. It was like so Carol Channing kept that secret into her 80s and then put it in her book.
Did not know that. Wow.
It's amazing. Everything about her was amazing. Everything about Carol Channing was totally amazing. And I got to hang out with her. So yeah.
Bette Midler.
Oh, I love her. No, I have not had the pleasure. I don't think I've even gotten to meet her yet. I haven't gotten to hang out with Bette Midler. Worship her, because one of the things when I was a young girl, and this is when she was still real, super brassy and doing the shows like at the Bass.
I'm surprised you've never gone to the Halloween gala.
How have I not hung out with Bette Midler? I adored her because I talked about my book. I was, and now it's try not to laugh. I was really shy when I was a child. And then people go, what? I was really shy when I was a kid. And I read that Bette Midler was just like pathologically shy. So shy. She's like awful. Like couldn't talk to people, like pass out. And she was terribly shy. And she sort of created this other persona, just like the other. I called it the Bette Midler School of Overcompensation. And she's known as this incredibly in-your-face, brassy, hilarious, powerful woman. but that was not who she was as a young girl. And I thought, well, now wait a minute. If Bette Midler can pull this off, I mean, and I read about various famous people who had experienced extreme shyness and overcame it and became these very famous, very not shy personalities. So absolutely, she was a role model and hero to me.
It would be a great entertainment act again for her yearly Halloween gala.
Well, call her.
I'll pass the message along to her too. I haven't had her on either, but I mean, I know her people. I mean,
absolutely. I owe my sanity to her and probably most of my career because I read about her and went, wait a minute, like, yes, great role model.
Okay, RuPaul.
So I did a movie with RuPaul, and of all people, Mary McDonough, who was Erin on the Waltons. I was like, what is happening? She's producing this short film called For the Love of May, and she calls me up, and we're talking about. First, she wasn't going to have me in it. This is the crazy part. She said, "It's great. I've got Michael Learned and Patricia Neal." The Patricia Neal who'd been in the first TV movie, The Homecoming, about the Waltons. Then Michael Learned played her mom. And she had Michael Learned was playing the older woman, and then Patricia Neal was playing her mom. And Alexandra Paul from Baywatch, she was playing the lead girl. And RuPaul was playing her coworker, and it was all about her romantic exploits, like trying to keep a guy, and her mom, played by Michael Learned, is the bitter one, and whereas Patricia Neal's the romantic and giving them advice. And she has a horrible boss, and so Mary's telling me how the boss is this just absolute bitch, and I'm going, and you didn't call me? And she's like, I thought you'd be insulted if I asked you. I said, no. She goes, okay, you want to do it? I go, I totally want to do it. So I agreed to do this movie. We're at the house and we're all going through the script, everybody, all these fabulous people, and RuPaul's there. And I had just bought this fabulous coat and hat, this little like leopard hat, and this like tiger stripe jacket at a great little store called Amber's. It was perfect. And I come back into the room to get my stuff, and RuPaul is trying on my coat and hat and is in front of the 3 mirrors, just like. And I was like, and he said, oh, so it's yours. But he said, where'd you get this? And I went, oh, it's this little store and it's on the corner. I tell him where the store is. And several weeks later, I'm at the store and they're like, it's the weirdest thing, man. What? He said, RuPaul came in here and he tried on like all your clothes, like all the stuff you've ever bought. So RuPaul was going to steal my clothes. He was awesome, because it was really weird too, because the character he was playing was a man. There was no drag. He was absolutely just in a suit as a dude. And he, again, a very sweet, almost shy, unassuming person. And he has all these adorable freckles when you see him like out of the makeup. Very sweet person.
Okay, a couple from your cast now that are fun. Let's just do it. Dean Butler. I'm sure you have so many stories.
I pick on Dean because Dean, he still blushes. You can still make him blush. The girls love him. And sometimes it's the old ladies love him, the ones who were girls back in the day, 50 years ago. And then still, we sometimes even see young women in their 30s, and so will come up and go, I've been watching Chanel Manzo. I just love El Manzo. We have a podcast. Me and Dean and Pamela Bob, it's an actress in New York, have a podcast, the 50th anniversary Little House podcast. And Pamela always introduces your favorite prairie bitch and hashtag imaginary boyfriend, because these women just like grew up worshiping him. And it's funny because sometimes at the autograph shows, these women who are his age and grew up watching this will like come up and they're like, oh, he's still dreamy. Oh, he just like, the color goes up. He just goes pink, and we all just die laughing. So yeah, he's great fun to tease. He's very sweet, and he's a bit square, which kind of is why our show works, because you have me and Pamela Bob and Dean is like, well, I just it's like, are you that square? Are you still that square? We're taking you out for dim sum. We'll sort you out.
Just take him to like I don't know, take him to a comedy club or something, one night, like an open mic night. He's
been like all over the world. He's done Broadway, but he just he hadn't had Chinese scallion pancakes until like 2 weeks ago. I mean, like, how did you not have Chinese? Okay.
Maybe chicken and waffles would even be too much for him.
I know that might be. I don't know. He's he's very straight-laced, and we enjoy picking on him.
Love that intro, by the way, from the Little House Homecoming from you both. I love that. I watched that today.
Isn't that great? Right. But
Yeah,
he's a very smart guy. You know, he had his own documentary company. That's why he knows documentaries. He was doing, you know, he used to work for the Golf Channel. He had that whole show.
Wow, interesting. No, I did not know that.
A show for it was Faraday, that guy who interviews people and everything.
David Faraday.
Yeah, he was his producer and like made that whole show happen. A very, very clever guy, and he was on Broadway in Into the Woods and all this kind of stuff. So he's very. You got to go read his book, Prairie Man. Go read his book.
Faraday is in as a cameo in the movie Tin Cup with Kevin Costner, of course.
As he would, absolutely, a golfer. You couldn't make a golf film without him.
Michael Landon.
Michael Landon, one of the most interesting people I've ever met. One of the funniest people I have ever met before or since. It's really, as I get older, I even appreciate more and more what an incredibly unusual human being this was. I mean, a total like driven workaholic in some ways, because he was directing the show and writing the show and producing the show and starring in the show and like he editing the show. At lunchtime, he'd go watch the dailies. He was in the editing room. He was like, I mean, he was doing everything. And he had this hysterical laugh, and he liked to play pranks on people, and he liked to tell terrible jokes. But, you know, you see always Paul Ingalls, but, you know, he was married 3 times and had this rather very interesting Hollywood life. Yet, when the cameras went on, he was Charles Ingalls out on the prairie. He's just like, he sold it completely. The best way I can describe it, I met Carol Spinney, who was Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch. And we got talking because I'm a Jim Henson fan. And he says, oh, no, I'm the biggest Michael Landon fan. You've got to tell me everything about Michael Landon. I went, really? I said, well, okay, you have to tell me everything about Jim Henson. So we start talking, and we went, were these two separated at birth? They were so similar. They were very similar in how they approach their work, their whole creative process, their whole, like, never want to stop working. They're never wanting to go to a doctor and never take any rest and take care of themselves was also like, oh, dear, that was a common theme. But it was fascinating how similar Jim Henson, who created the Muppets, and Michael Landon were in personality and the way they approach their art. Go figure.
That is so random.
I know. Well, I literally met him in Carol Spinney. We were in the same town doing separate events. We met in the airport. And I was like, oh, my God, it's Carol Spinney. And he's like, oh, my God, it's Alison Arngrim. And yeah, and because I'm a huge fan. I mean, Oscar the Grouch. Oh, my God, of course. We hit it off. It was great. Todd
Bridges.
He's coming this weekend. I love Todd. Todd Bridges is so funny. And Todd Bridges, have you read his? I'm pushing everyone's book.
He has been through a lot.
He has been through it, and he wrote about it. The book Killing Willis. I've read everybody's book. I love everyone's book. I read his book, and I was like, wow, fascinating. He really he doesn't hold back. And he is just grown up to be now this wonderful, wonderful person. And he works all the time. He's constantly doing stuff. He's a very interesting person and very cool. And yeah, he's seen and he's been everywhere and done everything and seen it all. And we'll tell you about it.
Yeah, I need to have him on. We haven't had him on yet. Really need to have him on. Yeah.
Oh my God, Todd is great. Have Todd on. He's awesome.
Okay, I promise. Two more. Melissa Gilbert.
It's so crazy because, we played Mortal Enemies Gonna Kill Each Other for 7 years. And she's really like kind of more like a younger sister. It's like, it's really weird. We have certain things now, 8,000 years later, we realized we have certain code words and mannerisms and things like, well, where'd that come from? From you, dummy. We grew up together. Oh, right. Yeah. It's like we're related. We hit it off right away. It was one of those things like first day of work. I mean, she just came up to me and started talking to me and I'm like, who are you? What is happening? And it was, I said, it was like she ran the place, which I guess she kind of did. And we hit it off. I think it was because we both have Hollywood families. Her dad was the actor Paul Gilbert. Her grandpa was the guy, Harry Crane, the Honeymooners. So it's like she came from a whole Hollywood dynasty kind of family and had grown up around the business. Do you ever see, if you go on YouTube, you can find the old Dean Martin Christmas specials where Dean Martin has all these celebrities and all that. Melissa Gilbert, who's about this big, is in her little Christmas. There's like 4. She's hanging out with Dean Martin on the set of his show. And it's like this. So yeah, we have that similar kind of thing. And I think we bonded over that. And it's very helpful if you're going to play enemies to actually be friends, because then nobody actually gets injured during all of the fight scenes.
Final thing, you mentioned Michael Learn earlier, who we finally had on, by the way, about maybe 6 weeks ago.
Marvelous.
Finally had to have. I love that. I told her that she, if she doesn't want to write a memoir, she should write a 20 stories, best 20 stories of her life book. So I'm hopefully inspiring her to finally finish that book that she hasn't written yet. I told her, I said, back in, I think it was 2008, I interviewed Ernest Borgnine when his memoir came out at 91 years old, and I said, you have plenty of time. She goes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I guess I got some time, you know what I'm saying? I said, if Ernest Borgnine at 91 years old can put out your book, you still have plenty of time. So come on, let's go. You know what I'm saying?
She's a brilliant woman. So brilliant, Michael. I've had her on my podcast like twice or 3 times. I think she's just such a good interview.
Speaking of that, Life Interrupted with her, Mason Reese, Don Wells, you guys did a couple of weeks ago, Memories, final thoughts.
Bananas. Life Interrupted. Yeah. So I play Mason Reese. It's so funny. Hey, do you want to play Mason Reese's wife? What? No, it's okay. You're his ex-wife. What? But you've remarried. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah. To Erin Murphy, who was Tabitha. Erin. So I've dumped Mason Reese for a girl. I'm his ex-wife, and it's wonderful because I know Erin, and she's have you had Erin? Have you had Tabitha?
No, I need to.
Marvelous. And so we play the lesbian couple. We're married. And then we have the son that I had with the Mason, and who's very tall because Mason's very short. And then, it's just bananas because suddenly, there's Michael Learned and Dawn Wells. Dawn Wells played my mother. It's
to interview Dawn before she passed away.
Show. It was like the last thing she did. Craziest show. It was the craziest show, and it's pretty. And then you have to also go online and look for Living on a Prairie. That's the one Pamela Bob, who does her podcast, created, and she plays a woman who's so obsessed with Little House on the Prairie she can't really function, and I play her therapist.
That is the funniest thing ever. Well, thank you so much, as always, Alison Arngrim.
Thank you. I need to go eat Chinese food. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for making time, as always. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Please promote your website, of course. Again, Little House on the Prairie, castreunions.com, longest domain history. So please, where everybody can find you, what's your website? What's all the stuff?
Bonnetheads.com, also AlisonArngrim.net, which sounds very business-like and official, but you can also go to bonnetheads.com.
Thank you, Alison. Hang on with us.